We've been out here half the day now, haven't seen a soul. We patrolled the river, haven't seen anyone there either. What we're seeing and what we're hearing from the Border Patrol chief and the agents on the ground here is that anyone who crosses now is arrested, prosecuted, and turned back over into Mexico. You simply cannot cross through here anymore and claim asylum, no matter what your claim is.
NBC News went down to the border to see how Donald Trump's border control is working. And this is going to shock you. Spoiler alert, NBC News does an accurate report.
Is somebody sick?
I think so. At first, I thought it was CBS News. I swear to God, I thought it was CBS News because Barry Weiss is now in control of CBS News.
Finally got real journalism, so you figured there.
Yeah. So here, let's listen to the report. Here we go. Liberals open the spigots on the box wine because here we go.
Trump says he secured the border.
Nobody's coming into our country now. We have the border totally stopped.
We're here in Texas to see what those changes look like on the ground.
We've got the most controlled border we've ever had in the history and in my lifetime in the Border Patrol, and we're going to continue getting there.
In Eagle Pass, Texas, during the Biden administration, more than 2,000 migrants crossed into the U.S. in a single day. But now, under President Trump's policies, officers encounter just 20 migrants a day here. So the last time I was in Eagle Pass was 2 years ago, almost to the date. And I saw more migrants crossing at a single point in one day than I had in, at that point, 9 years of covering immigration. They were cutting through this barbed wire here and coming across the Rio Grande, sometimes with parents holding their children on their backs as they crossed the water. We saw a lot of rescues. We saw people bleeding as they came under this barbed wire right here. And then we saw hundreds gather under a bridge. They were taken in, processed, and then released either to ICE or elsewhere to pursue their asylum claims. Now it's a total change.
People aren't taking that risk to come across because the end of catch and release is a deterrent in itself. And then with the level of prosecutions we're doing for smugglers and for those entering the country illegally, you add that added deterrence.
We've been out here half the day now, haven't seen a soul. We patrolled the river, haven't seen anyone there either. What we're seeing and what we're hearing from the Border Patrol chief and the agents on the ground here is that anyone who crosses now is arrested, prosecuted, and turned back over into Mexico. You simply cannot cross through here anymore and claim asylum, no matter what your claim is.
So, how dare Donald Trump protect the borders of a place we call home when he should be protecting the borders of Ukraine? Am I wrong?
I mean, I think it's amazing that this is like an unusual event. You would think it's just because there's basic laws.
This should be normal. This should be
like,
this should how it should be normally.
It shouldn't be an achievement, is what I'm saying. Much like if you can have a little bit of free speech, I'm not grateful that I can say a few more boo-boo words now and still, you know what I mean? Like, that's just normal shit. You're supposed to have a border.
So I asked Grok, I said, has illegal immigration stopped at the U.S.-Mexican border? Grok says, no, illegal immigration has not stopped at the U.S.-Mexico border, but it has plummeted to historic lows in 2025, reaching levels not seen since the early 70s.
Is that Ford? Was that the Ford administration?
That early 70s, that would be Nixon and Ford. Ford was, CIA man. Turns out every president is a CIA man since JFK.
Of course.
In case you didn't know.
When they took over the whole country,
And so I asked Grok, why is the decline? Grok says the drop began in late 2024 under the Biden administration. For example, Mexico's crackdown on migrant routes and the U.S. asylum restrictions, but accelerated dramatically after President Trump's inauguration in January 2025. Here's why. Stricter enforcement, deployment of additional troops, 7,600 from the Army's 101st Airborne. I didn't know that. Expanded ICE arrests and suspension of asylum claims at the border. Deportations, over 135,000 deportations in the first 100 days of 2025. That sounds like a lot, but I don't think that's a lot. Right? Because didn't Barack Obama deport 3 million people?
I think you're right.
Yeah, most was without due process.
And most of them were...
It's after you already had Biden in. So their deterrent was Kamala saying, don't come.
Yeah.
Okay? And so it's not high. It's high numbers for what there was 4 years ago,
What is the catch and release? What? So
They say,
They arrest
according
them,
to
they go,
AI,
"Okay,
it
free to
says
go."
2.7 million people.
yeah, but what is the catch and release program that no longer? So they would catch. They would. So if they caught you, they would just release you. I don't know. So they would catch
Yeah,
you.
they've been doing that with a bunch of people. They did. The
And-
drug dealers next door, they arrested. They let them out the next day, and this goes back to BLM when they got rid of bail and all that.
So a deterrence effect. Migrants and smugglers have received clear messages via social media and networks that crossing will lead to swift arrest and removal, reducing attempts. So people aren't even trying to come across. It's not like they're trying to come across and they're catching them. It's like the word is out. So the word was out during the Biden administration that it's open borders. Come on in.
Yeah, well, they
what's
watch
catch
those
and
clips
release?
we watched.
Catch and
Jimmy.
release is the practice of releasing certain apprehended immigrants while they wait their immigration court hearings rather than detaining them indefinitely.
Oh, okay. So instead of detaining them, they would catch them and let them go into the United States.
And then recent
Do they at least
policy
measure 'em?
shifts in 2025 have sought to end or curtail catch and release by emphasizing detention and other enforcement measures.
Okay.
ICE would just hold them up like a big trout and then let them go, like a fat bass.
And you can't say that Joe Biden did the same thing because he had no idea what his auto pen was signing. Also, Mexican cooperation increased Mexican patrols and seizures. For example, life jackets and rafts have prevented crossing. So I don't understand. Increased Mexican patrols and seizures. For example, life jackets and rafts. What does that mean?
So like I think the Mexican officials on the other side are helping prevent.
So they're not
crossings.
giving them life rafts
Sounds
and,
that way.
and life jackets and rafts anymore? Oh, okay. Also, so has it truly stopped? Well, apprehensions are at a 50-plus year low. For example, fewer than 9,000 per month under Trump versus 250,000 under Biden.
Oh, wow.
What does that mean? 250,000 plus days under Biden. What does that mean? Do you know what that means? So 9,000 per month under Trump, I get it, versus peaks of 250,000 a day.
Every some days they had over 250,000.
No kidding.
We knew that. We saw the video of them bum rushing the border. And Abbott down here, this dumb creep. Remember that fight about he put up razor wire and Biden said take it down? That was one little section of the border. So there's plenty of room on either side for everybody to keep coming in. That was all theater.
So they're not zero, but experts note that some gotaways, undetected crossings, still occur, though estimates suggest they've dropped 93%. So he didn't build the wall, and he's able to do this, which means that Joe Biden was able to do this, which means that this was on purpose, as I've said all along. This is on purpose to flood the country with people who enter illegally. And what's that about? Well, a lot of the Republicans say it's so that they can get them voting.
Well, that too,
I
but
think-
also the military, also low wages.
I
You
think
get a lot of benefits.
I think the military. I think there was two big things. It was suppressed wages of American workers and our military. I mean,
well, they said it.
Dick Durbin said it right on the floor of the Senate. We need them to come here because we can't meet our recruiting goals anymore in the military.
Our in-grade citizens don't want to go die face down in Sandyland no more. Imagine that, Jimmy.
So it's not. So it was smart of Trump to drop the rhetoric about the wall because that's something people for some reason or another rallied against the wall. And well, it's also the wall's not a good idea for lots of reasons, but one of them is it's not good for the wildlife. That's one thing. But he did it without a wall. So this was doable all along. This was doable. And so Mirthful Moments tweets out the United States under Biden. See, there's no border here, and the United States under Trump, and there's a border. But my shitlib friends will say this is better because it's on top.
It took me a while to notice the missing line with the border myself, in fairness to your dumbass friends.
Here's a guy with a cowboy hat and a uniform. He's going to tell you how much we spent on illegal crossings.
The numbers were they had spent in 1 year roughly $246 billion on welfare and assistance to all the immigrants that they let across in 1 year. Now, when you put it on a local perspective for Yuma, so Border Patrol had to put up tents to be able to house them.
Okay.
Those tents had to contain not only a place for them to sleep, but it also had to have a laundry facility. It also had to have a cafeteria so they could cook the food for everybody. And they also had to have storage to be able to outfit them with clothing. So Border Patrol was spending tax dollars buying anything from baby food and diapers on up to clothing for adults for them to wear. Now, when they looked at the contract price, just here in Yuma, we were one of 7 locations along the border that Border Patrol had to have these tent facilities, right? Those tents, each tent was $500,000 a day, taxpayer funded for that tent.
Wait, how is the tent $500,000 a day?
Because it's through a contractor. And that contractor has to provide the employees to be able to maintain that tent and the facilities within it, as well as all the other intricacies.
How many people under a tent?
Yeah. You'd have to ask Hector on that.
Okay.
You know,
That's wild.
When you think about it, when they were apprehending almost 1,500 individuals a day, that tent had to hold all those people and the kids. Now, unaccompanied kids, that's even worse because then you have to have them out of sight and sound and housed separately from the adults, right? So $500,000 a day per tent. They had, I believe, 5 tents here in Yuma sector. So, and because the electrical grid at Border Patrol could not handle the power that was needed to run those, they had to run that facility on generators, which was over $100,000 a week in diesel fuel. So
it doesn't end.
So when you look at all these numbers, we don't spend that kind of money for our veterans. And why not? 3 years.
So it is kind of amazing. But it's no news that the government doesn't care about our veterans. That's why we keep coming up with new wars to throw them into.
I mean, going back to the World War I, the Smedley Butler March, where they rolled tanks over veterans.
That's right.
Where they cheated all the veterans of World War I.
That was the waste. What was that called? Something. There was a name for that. Recent law. So this is just from Chicago because I'm from Chicago, and I found out that from a guy running for mayor right now. So in Chicago, they're out of money. They're over $1 billion in debt as a city, and so they closed down schools in poor black neighborhoods. And then when the illegal immigrants showed up, they put them in schools that they had closed down, and then they had used $700 million they gave to a private company to run those shelters, schools, where all the illegal immigrants were in Chicago. 700. So I was like, I went and checked that number, and all I could come up with was from June of 2024, a recent lawsuit sheds light on how Chicago migrant funds are being spent. The last figures from the City of Chicago spending dashboard shows the city has spent more than $400 million in just 2 years. So from 2022 to 2024, they spent $400 million, the bulk of that money going to private companies that helped forge lease agreements or provided staffing for migrant shelters. NBC News, Bennett. So that's from NBC News. It's just, and so the people in Chicago are pulling their hair out of their heads because they've been paying taxes their whole life, and they see the city shutting down schools in their neighborhoods. And then as soon as people who aren't even citizens here show up en masse, they pull $700 million out of their ass and hand it to a private company to take care of people who aren't even citizens.
You know, your book title is great, Jimmy. I think about it a lot when I see this shit.
Your country's just not that into you?
I mean, I would take it a step further. Your country actively hates you.
Yeah. Maybe that should be my next book.
No, yeah, I mean, it's funny because that's such a great title because it really is. You could take Greg Barron's dating advice and apply it to America.
Yeah.
Like, do you think your country likes you? Like, this is how you get treated.
Anyway, nice job by NBC. Again, this doesn't mean that I'm down with the over militarized ICE raids. That doesn't mean that. And I think those over militarized ICE raids are happening on purpose to create a backlash so then they can expand the surveillance state.
Oh, what a benefit, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Well, on the border, the local law enforcement is probably cooperating because it's extremely harmful to their towns.
Yeah, the people.
Okay?
That's right.
But in Chicago, they're doing it on purpose. In fact, I can't help but think of those leaked Hillary emails where they talked about Obama using taxpayer money to get $60,000 worth of
Hot dogs?
pizza and hot dogs from Chicago, a place where illegals are welcome. So everything's human trafficking to me with this. That's what this is.
Okay, so turns out it was doable to have a border all along. And,
I suspect it.
And the people who run the country, meaning the billionaire class, didn't want it. And so now that I think they must have enough cheap labor in the country, and they must have met their recruiting goals that the billionaires are letting Donald Trump do this. That's what I think.
It's okay.
Because believe me, Donald Trump does what his donors tell him.
He has no choice. He was going to go. Remember, the walls were closing in.
That's right. Walls were closing in. Okay. And if you want to hear my jokes about this, come see me in Irvine, October 19th. That's this Sunday. Coming up this Sunday. We're going to be in Irvine. See you in Irvine. And then Australia, and then Burbank the day after Thanksgiving. It's a Friday. Everybody is off that day. And then we'll be in Pottstown, Pennsylvania on December 6th. Hey, we'll also see you January 11th in Hawaii. So make your plans. You're thinking of going to Hawaii this year? Go this year. We're going to be at the Blue Note in Waikiki. It's a classy joint is what they say. Classy. See you there. Looking for a natural way to promote and maintain your liver health? I found a clinically supported, potent, and effective solution, and I can't wait to share it with you. It's called Dose. Dose for your liver was formulated to cleanse your liver of unwanted elements, aid digestion, and maintain your body's filter. Why does this matter? Well, your liver is the second largest organ in your body, and it's mine's the third, and responsible for over 500 functions. It acts as your body's filter, flushing out unwanted elements and breaking down what you consume into essential nutrients. In a double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial, Dose for your liver lowered liver enzyme levels by 50% in over 86% of the participants. Just one dose for your liver is equivalent to 17 shots of turmeric juice, but it's so delicious, you'll want to have more. And believe me, it's delicious. Save 25% on your first month of subscription by going to dosedaily.co/Jimmy or entering Jimmy at checkout. That's dosedaily.co/Jimmy for 25% off your first month subscription. October 19th, we'll be in Irvine, California. We'll be in Australia. Then we'll be in Burbank, California the day after Thanksgiving. And then Pottstown, Pennsylvania, December 6th. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.